Hey,
Olá!
join us as we open up the box for Sonora, taking a look inside and sharing some first impressions after our first ever gameplay. Sonora is a 1 to 4 player flick and write game, designed by Rob Newton with art by Tom Goyon and Michael Parla. This game was published in 2020 by Pandasaurus Games, and the version we'll be looking at today is the Spanish and Portuguese edition published by Devir. Playtime takes between 30 to 45 minutes and is played over a fixed number of rounds, 5, 6 or 7 depending on the length of game you feel like playing. The goal of the game is to flick your discs onto the game board with quadrants that represent unique landscapes across the Sonoran sands. Each of the 4 landscapes has a unique minigame where you'll use your flicked tokens towards progressing in that zone. The zones consist of Cliff Dweller Ruins, where you'll race against other players to get the highest reward by being the first one to fill in and unlock a cluster. Creek Bed, where you'll choose paths to explore and the further down you get, the better the rewards. Canyon, here you'll draw polyomino shapes through the canyon, unlocking bonuses and collecting cacti. And Mud Cracks, where you'll choose nodes to cross off and surround areas to unlock the bonuses and points within. There are a variety of bonuses to unlock that can help too, from the ability to reflick, swap tokens, or gain extra animal bonuses which will let you progress further in a certain zone. This way it's possible to chain up bonuses and score more. Each round consists of a flick phase and then the right phase where you'll try to unlock the bonuses and points. At the end of each round, the playboard is rotated 90 degrees and the new player gets to start. The player with the most points at the end of the game wins.
Inside the box you'll find a game board, 20 wooden discs, 5 for each player in different colors and numbered 1 to 5, 4 score sheets, 4 dry erase pens, 1 first player token, and a rulebook. The production quality of this one is okay, not amazing. Our game board, the one we have to flick the tokens onto, had plenty of scuffs already and had us wondering if we had a next display or returned version of the game. We also thought perhaps there might be some expansions for the game, as the plastic frame for the game board, where we launch our tokens from, does allow for it to be removed. The dry erase pens feel a bit too large for the score sheets. We would have preferred something with a smaller nib, as it can get messy writing the numbers or circling a bonus. Another thing that felt too big is the box. It didn't have to be as big as it is, and the game could have easily fit in something half the size. Ours came with 2 copies of the rules in Spanish and Portuguese. The rulebook is of a nice quality and does explain the rules well enough with good example moves, although we felt it could have been a bit more concise in its explanation. The rulebook also details an advanced variety to make the disc flicking more difficult, along with the solo mode where you play against an AI opponent. The artwork is very nice and the cover for the box is beautiful. It certainly drew our attention to the game, though didn't really hint towards what kind of game it would be from the cover alone. I really like this game.
Me too. I like it enough that I'll want to play it from time to time. It's not my favorite of this genre, but it was certainly fun and introduced a new, unique way to play.
It's a new experience for this genre for sure. The roll and write, flip and write, and in this case, a flick and write, which is fun.
The something and write is really a genre we enjoy, so it was fun to see a dexterity version that involved flicking discs around.
While flicking a disc might not be that easy for everyone, for me it is. I used to play with marbles when I was a kid, maybe that helped. Not to say that I'm amazing at this, but at least I don't flick the discs out of the board. In this game you can plan on a strategy, but it will depend on where the discs end up or if another player didn't push your disc away from where it landed first. To me it's almost like rolling dice. I don't get upset or frustrated because, well, despite having a skill factor, it ends up being a little bit luck-based as well. But there is a good balance of luck and skill, and you'll basically have to work with what you got.
We've played this at 2 players, but at a higher player count it might get a bit chaotic. It happens to us already that we accidentally knock the other person's disc without meaning to. And with more discs on the board, I can imagine it would get quite frustrating if you're trying to get into a certain landscape or bonus.
Yeah, and you can definitely hate or spite flick others, but perhaps it would be in detriment of your own game.
Not only do you have the 4 landscapes, there are 2 bonus areas per landscape, which might reward you the double value of the disc, or allow you to carry out a disc's ability in that landscape twice. There is also the middle of the board, which has a recess and allows any disc that falls into it to be placed into any zone on the player's score sheets. This is good, if it's what you want. Sometimes I fell into that center recess while trying to get the points multiplier behind it.
Yeah, sometimes it can be good, sometimes it gets in the way.
There is a bit of mitigation here though, and that is through the reflick bonus or the swap bonus. If you have any to spare, then you can either try again to flick into the area you want, or at the end, swap one disc for another, maybe getting better points for the landscape you want. It's not something we've done much really, I think only a few times, but it's good to know we have that option if we unlock them.
Oh, and like in other games of this genre, you can get a chain of bonuses, and that is really cool.
Yeah, Joanna is really good at getting a chain of bonuses going. I'll be done with my turn, and I look up to see her still going around all of the minigames, because she's just unlocking bonus after bonus.
Yeah, you can be filling in the owl minigame, and that gives you a rabbit, that will give you a fox. I try to be mindful of that when planning all my moves. I try to maximize my turns, getting more and more bonuses, trying to be able to play in more areas in each round. So this game can be thinky, but chill enough that you won't be stressed about it.
I like that each of the 4 minigames in their respective landscape really feel unique. You have the flick phase, which itself is fine, but for me most of the enjoyment comes from deciding what steps to take in any of the zones I've got points to spend.
For me too! I'm still trying to see which strategy is the best for me. I have tried to go in different directions, focusing on the owl and the fox areas, getting more in different cacti in the rabbit zone, trying to fill more spaces in the iguana section, which to me, it's the least fun area.
Yeah, that Cliff Dweller Ruins, the iguana section, isn't my favorite either. It's the one that takes precedence when scoring, because the first person to complete a cluster will get a higher score and the bonus. But I prefer the gameplay of the canyon or creek bed, and I think we both found that we can get better points that way.
Now, one thing I didn't enjoy so much was the rulebook. It had a lot of references to other pages, making us jump back and forth, making the process complicated and tedious.
Yeah, the rulebook certainly could have been a bit more concise. On one page alone, it referenced 4 other page numbers for us to see. It just made the flow of learning the game a bit messy.
Or perhaps it was because I was reading a rulebook in Portuguese for the first time, but even the choice for the word flicking in Portuguese was a weird one. Christian was reading in English, and it's not the way we usually learn a game.
Yeah, normally we have just the one of us reading the rulebook and then teaching the other as we read. But because this game didn't have English rules, I was looking separately on my phone to try and learn with the one I found on BoardGameGeek.
This game was a difficult one to try to learn at first, but the moment you do, it's very easy to play.
Once we learned it, we didn't find ourselves going to look at the rulebook much anymore, making it a nice game to bring to the table to play any time really. We've already had it for our board game breakfast routine.
It is not a gateway game in my opinion, but it's a really fun and easy game for people who have experienced this genre before, games that have these chain reactions in one turn, links between different areas. It's an easy game, but there is a little bit of complexity that might be too much for non-gamers. I'm looking forward to play it solo. It looks interesting to me, the AI opponent thing.
Yeah, the solo play looks fun and interesting. The rulebook also details an advanced variant for flicking the discs, but I don't think we'll need that for just the 2 of us playing. The flicking part, while fun, isn't the main reason I like the game. It's enough of a challenge.
Another negative point for us is the pens, which are not great. This kind of pen isn't usually the greatest, the nibs are too thick, and one of ours doesn't even write. We have replacements, but it's an extra. I like that it's an erasable board though, but yeah, it should either have had thinner pens or bigger boards. Colors are okay, the discs are visible on the board and when we write it stands out, but in the first game I got the Cliff Dweller Ruins and the Canyon mixed up, because the colors are literally the same, just swapped. Like one is orange with yellow accents and the other one is yellow with orange accents. This is a personal issue though, maybe others are okay with that.
I didn't notice that so much while playing, but while looking at it now, I agree, and I think the two color schemes or the design could have been a bit more different to distinguish the two. Other than that, everything is fine production-wise, but just fine. We mentioned during the what's in the box portion that our board looked used, which was a bit disappointing. Also, I don't know why the box had to be so big. That was also disappointing in a way, because when you get such a big box, you'd hope there would be more inside of it, component-wise.
Perhaps they were thinking of releasing expansions, hence the extra space. I wish there were more maps to play with, maybe one with slices instead of quadrants, so it would increase the difficulty. Or like a dartboard, that would be crazy difficult.
It does seem set up to handle more maps quite easily, and to swap them out into that plastic frame. So yeah, it would have been cool to see more game boards.
Oh, and it's missing something to note down or indicate which round we are playing. We have been writing down on our individual boards, but I think there should be something dedicated to that. We got this game in a promo from Devir website, so it was cheaper than normal, and because of that, we are okay with these issues. But we wouldn't have been happy had we paid the full price.
So, that wraps up our first impressions for Sonora. A really neat flick and write game that we can highly recommend if it sounds like something you would enjoy. Thank you all so much for watching. We've been Board Game Beans.
You've been you.
Have a lovely day and
Happy gaming!
End of the video. Sonora. Like and subscribe if you want. We would appreciate it.
It's true, we would.
Yeah.